Anyway, welcome along to Painting Classic Cars. I'm going to change the schedule. Sometimes things don't quite go to plan, and this is one of these times where we weren't planning on this video. We were planning on showing you a finished Porsche 997 this week, and it's not the Porsche's fault. As I say, sometimes things just kind of hit the fan, and our compressor, which is a heartbeat of the workshop, decided to say thanks but no thanks a couple of days ago. The engineers were meant to be out today, but they can't now make it till tomorrow, and that's had a snowball effect. The Porsche is painted, and we are just assembling it now. We've got 4 days before this video comes out now. So this would all be done and built, with the exception of having the glass in it. Our guy that does the glass, fantastic chap, he's going to come and do all the glass in this Porsche. He's also, though, got to put the glass in this Porsche. And this Porsche isn't painted yet because we have no air compressor. So that's kind of knocked both of these jobs now way out of kilter. We are making some progress on the Cadillac, but it's not until you lose the air compressor that you realise that it really is a heartbeat of the workshop, and the belt sander doesn't work. I can't cool down the welds as I go help control shrinking and distorting. There's various things we can't do, so that's slowed that down. 57 Cadillac, mind you. All the paint's coming off in this now. Bro's working hard. All the paint's coming off. We've got paint stripper and an electric DA. So that electric DA and Hoover, get all the paint off the back. The poor old Transit has had a knock-on effect now because that Porsche was going to be on there for a couple of days. That's down delayed, which means the Transit can't go back on there for a couple of days. You get the picture. So what we thought we'd do, because we don't have that video ready now, is we'll do something with teas for a little while. People keep asking about. We'll tell you about that. This is really weird, and friends who watch this and followers who watch this who know will probably find this weird. Our 57 Chevy lives up there. It's always lived up there, it seems. But we thought we'd just take this opportunity to make some content and show people around our 57. Believe it or not, this did drive into where it is now. We bought this back in 2017, right at the tail end of 2017. It was and is complete with the exception of the front bumper. That's the only part we don't have for this car. But it is a 1957 Chevrolet Belair convertible. It's a fairly standard spec car. It's got a power hood, manual windows, manual seats. It doesn't have auto eye or anything like that, so it's quite basic in its spec level. But it's pretty much original, as you can tell. If you come in a bit, Lou, a lot of modern classics will have a VIN plate and things like that stamped on them. The American cars weren't so hot on keeping everything tied in with engine numbers and things like that. So we've got a tag plate here, which I'll probably overlay so you can get a closer look at it. But the VIN plate here shows us it's trim 677, which is yellow and silver interior, highly practical. And paint code is 803, which is Coronado yellow, which is what the car is. So we know it's original from that point of view. But it came in here with a 350 Chevy engine and a manual gearbox. We know that that's not original because it's got a column shift column in it. An auto column shift, might I add, not a 3 on the tree. So this would have been an auto power glide car. Through the wonders of the internet though, we put a couple of pictures up on our Facebook page when we first got this in, and almost straight away we got an email come through, or a message came through, from a family in Chicago. Now we bought this car from a UK dealer. We'd shipped a few cars in previous that year, and no sooner had they landed than this turned up in the UK. and it was a bit of a steal at the time. We'll come on to that in a bit. But yeah, this family contacted us from Chicago and said, did you buy it from such and such a dealer? Which we did. That's our family car. And it turns out that the family bought this in the early 70s. And they gave $100 for it. And it was a regular daily driver car for them. The engine let go in the early 70s and was replaced with a 1970 spec 350 Chevy with a 4-speed manual gearbox. And they kept the car right away up until early 2017, when the dealer bought the car, shipped it over here, and here it's ended up. I'll have a hunt through, I'm sure I've still got, and I'll overlay it if I can find it. A photograph, you can barely make it out in Chicago, sat on their driveway, covered in snow. So they used it for quite a while and they got parked up as it started to deteriorate, and the cost of fixing an old worthless Chevy at the time, it just wasn't worth it. So yeah, here it is. I watched Christine over the weekend and it reminded me very much of this coming in here. There's a scene in the film, Arnie's just bought the car and he's backing it into Darnell's and it's clunking and banging and exactly the same when this came in. Running really badly off of a jerry can, the chassis had snapped in half, there's no floor pan in it, the seat frames were there but all the seat coverings have rotted and fallen apart. It was a mess. So fairly quickly we decided we're going to go totally stock. We're going to restore it to totally original condition. 2017, 2018, a fully restored stock one of these was worth north of £100,000, certainly $100,000 in the States. But in a very short space of time, it seems to have just tailed right off, and it's actually the resto mod versions which are worth the money, and the stock original cars aren't fetching quite as much. Now, the plan when we bought the car was to get it done and sell it and make a few quid. I'm not ashamed to say that. In the UK, how practical is a convertible? A yellow convertible with a white vinyl interior and a white roof. I don't know what we're going to do or when we're going to use it, if that's the route we go down. Kind of lost my thread a bit here as to which way we're going, but the 350 that was in it, we got that out, we sold that. It ran okay, it wasn't amazing, it was wrong for the car. But what we have also managed to source, again I'll overlay, we've got this would have come from the factory with a 283 small block in 57, with a big heavy cast iron 2-speed power glide gearbox in the battery. So it will sound nice, it will drive nice, it will barely get out of its own way, but it's how they work, it's how they should be. So that was the plan with that. I don't know where we're going to go with it really. As you've seen, we don't do much to it. I've not touched this in probably 2 years because we are so busy here. We don't work weekends, I now come in on Saturdays to do our own stuff, but I don't, we're too busy, I do everything else. So when we get round to doing this, who knows? But what I'll do is we'll just have a little walk around in a minute and I'll point out what we have done, because despite appearances, it's not a million miles away from being ready to prep for paint. Obviously once we hit the painted stage, we've then got all the mechanicals to sort out, trim, wire and all the rest of it, so it's still a long way off, but it's a big hurdle. So we'll have a little walk around and I'll point out what was wrong, what we've done, what we've got left to do. Okay, starting round the back, you can see how long we've been untouched now. We still got some repair panels here which are all oxidised, so I really must crack on with this. We'll cut round in a minute, but front drivers, near side, wing repair section. As I say, when we got hold of this, there was no floor pan. I mean, the colander doesn't quite do it justice as to how bad it was. And the chassis, the original chassis, had snapped in half. Now we got repair sections, big sections professionally made up at the sheet metal fabricators, and they did a really nice job. And we got that all sectioned in, and I was happy with it, but the front was all twisted. There's bits that needed doing at the front as well. And by chance, we managed to get hold of a 57 saloon chassis. Now, there was an X-brace in the middle of the chassis on the convertibles for extra strength, and there's also skid plates along the bottom. So it's now sitting on the saloon chassis, but I've got the X-frame out of the original chassis. That's all been carefully cut out, ready to go into this one. And you can still buy the skid plates that go underneath. So we can convert this to a convertible chassis with real ease. So that was a better way to go. And what we do is we're going to build the body. Then once the body is fully built, we can get all this assembly out. Well, we'll leave the cage in there actually, that's holding it nice and square, but we'll get the chassis then blasted, possibly powder coated, and we'll build the chassis up from there. But we've got floor panels gone into this front to back, including the boot floor. So around the back here, the main structure's all good and all done. What we've had to do is re-edge all of the inner fender wall, inner wing. So we've had to re-edge all the way through here, both sides, and build that onto the floor pan. So as I say, floor's now front to back. We've got the tail pan here. We've got this section to go into here, and then the support panel that goes underneath it. So that needs to go in across the back. So once that's let into there, and that's got the support pan underneath, that's the main body is all done. It's then relatively superficial in as much as, if you come down this side, Lou, this quarter panel here will run all the way through the bottom here. So I managed to find in the UK this repair section. So that's been let in now, that's all flush, butt welded in there. And then as we're cleaning back, we've seen how oxidised it is underneath the trim panel here. It's quite heavily pitted. And I'm in two minds as to what we're going to do with this. I think we will carry on and get the body done. Once the body's done, we will get it blasted. So we can find any other little bits that might need attention. And we'll see how that comes back from the blasters. Because it's solid. And it's 1950s steel. It's good quality, thick, heavy gauge steel. I don't want to jump in and just fit a reproduction quarter panel. I'd rather get that blasted, see what the whole thing's like, and then we'll kind of work from there with it. We'll get it up in the air in a minute, but it's now got a pair of outer sills on it. The floor pan, briefly, what an awesome bit of kit. I mean, the Americans know how to supply some parts. This wasn't a lot of money. Off the top of my head, it was about $800. And it came with everything. All the outriggers, seat mounts, seat fixings. As I say, we'll go in from underneath, but all the inner sills are there, all the chassis outriggers there, everything. So it was literally a case of bolting the new floor pan to the chassis and then lowering the body down onto all the mounting points and stitching it in. It was actually a pleasure to do. Daunting when you first look at it, but a real pleasure to do. And that's from the toe board all the way back to the boot floor. So that whole underpanel is now new. I'd say it's then mostly the superficial bits. The bottom of the door is a bit raggedy there, but the shell's really good. So we'll probably put the lower skin in through here. The wing panel, as I showed you in the boot, we've got that section to go into there. And the same on that side. The bonnet for the car, original bonnet, is in great shape. The boot lid was shot absolutely rotten. But we have got a really good used boot lid for that, which again, that'll go off and get blasted, and we'll go through our usual paint process with Novel. We'll stick it up in the air, just have a quick look underneath, so you can get an idea of what we've got on under there. Slightly quicker this round. Come in here a sec, Lou. Sorry, mate. before I go right up in the air. We've got the wing panel, which again is all oxidised up, but we started to let that in 3 years ago. I don't know if you can see through the massive box here holding it all together, but on the rear wheel well there, you can see how high we had to come up in re-edging all of that. So that's one big section that swoops all the way around to the back of the boot lid inner. So that's all swaged in and copied up to the original spec. Again, over this side, I've had to put a lower rear quarter panel in. I think we really should, once the compressor's fixed, we'll get all this cleaned up and into some Noble bodywork primer, I think. It's up here we've forgotten about, and you don't really see how much is something material that's sitting here. Okay, so from underneath you can see here how we've come all the way through here, all the way through, joining up with this swage, all the inner quarter. So all this in here has been cut out and repaired. You might have seen in the boot we've got new closing panels to go in there. Brand new floor. And then the floor pan, as I say, coming all the way through here, comes with all of these mounting points, new inner sills. Really nice bit of panel work that. And then yeah, around the back, same as on the other side, we've had to cut in all of this and going all the way back, all swaged in, going all the way to the back there. So it has had a lot of work carried out. You know, there is a long way to go still, but the fundamentals are there. I say, here's our saloon chassis, which will have a cross section coming in here. We've still got the original chassis, so we've got all the dating points on that chassis to just transfer that straight into here. I guess we have two questions really. Will we finish it for us? We have toyed with the idea of selling as it is, which is probably quite a hard sell in the UK market. Anyone watching, we are open to offers. We'll finish it for you. It's just, as it's not a customer paying job, it is the bottom of the list. As you've seen, we've got the truck, we've got the Impala, we've got some other bits and pieces, and we do actually like doing things away from here as well. So that's one possibility, but if we carry on and build it, what do we do with it? Do we put in the 283, which is sitting over there, and keep it totally standard, drum brakes all round, single line brakes at that? Do we keep it yellow with a highly impractical yellow and silver vinyl interior and a white roof? I mean, in the UK, that's probably not the most practical of things, but I don't know, there's lots for us to ponder on that, and we will happily take some feedback on this one. It's our car, so be as rude as you like. Said last week, we've got a thick skin. Yeah, that's it really. Hold-ups have led us to show you a little bit around our car, one of our cars. So we will be back next week, hopefully with the concluding part of the 997 video, assuming the compressor comes back to life this week. So thanks for watching. Tell us your thoughts, hard hats at the ready, and we'll see you next week with a painted car. Just not this one.